You know what's on my mind? How the Ukraine crisis is going to end. Here on my daily thought bubble. So, it's been a few weeks now since the Ukraine crisis has started, where Putin invaded Ukraine. And most of the military pundits and experts actually predicted that Ukraine was going to fall in a few days. It's been over 2 weeks, and Ukraine is still standing. And not just standing, they're actually winning this war. Now, here's the thing, there are going to be several possible outcomes in this crisis. Let's talk about all of the possible outcomes. The first outcome that I see happening is that Ukraine will win. When I say they will win, they will destroy all the ground forces of the Russian army, and they will deplete the Russian army to the point where they will basically not be able to take over the Ukraine territory. And here is where it gets scary. Putin, I don't think he has a way to back out of this, and he wants to win at all costs. So, what I am afraid will happen is that because of how deranged this madman is, he's going to unleash chemical weapons, biological weapons, and eventually nuclear weapons. He's going to do whatever it takes to be able to invade and take over Ukraine, even if it means he's going to kill all the Ukrainians. So that's what I think will happen, that Putin will unleash his chemical weapons. And if it still does not stop Ukrainians' resolve and spirit, then he'll unleash nuclear weapons. He'll destroy the entire country and kill all 40 plus million Ukrainians. And then I just wonder, where is that line where NATO and the United States will eventually step in and say enough is enough and decide to fight alongside the Ukrainians? How many Ukrainians are they going to wait to die before NATO and the United States will come in? What, 100,000, 200,000, 1 million, 2 million? What kind of weaponry would Putin have to use before NATO and the United States decides enough is enough? That is a question that I have for you and for everyone else. And I don't know the answer. And I hope that it doesn't reach the millions before NATO and the United States decides to take action. Because make no mistake about it, this is not going to end with Ukraine. Definitely, Putin is going to invade other countries if he succeeds in invading Ukraine. I mean, haven't we learned from World War II, where the Nazis were killing millions of Jews? And then that's when the United States decided to join in the war, but they waited for millions of Jews to die before they decided to do something about it and help. I hope we've learned and not wait till it gets to a few million Ukrainians before NATO and the United States decides to help. Because right now, what will happen is, if they do come in to help, and I know they will, I think it's just a matter of time. If they do come in to help, Putin is already at a military disadvantage because most of his military might is in Ukraine already. And it's diminished because of how amazing the Ukrainians are doing. So all he has is his nukes and his chemical weapons. So if the United States and NATO plans it properly, they will be able to neutralize all the nuclear weapons and the chemical weapons before most of them are deployed. Yes, some of them will probably be launched and some of them will hit targets outside of Ukraine. World War III is upon us because we have a madman with his finger on a nuclear button. So we either stop him now or we stop him next time when there are more people dead and more countries invaded and more nuclear weapons launched. I think it has to end now. And I think if NATO comes in now, they'll be able to defeat Putin very easily because of the brave fight and the progress that the Ukrainian people have made in diminishing Russia and Putin's war machine. So all they have to do now is just be able to neutralize all the weapons of mass destruction and then just go to the Kremlin and take out Putin. That's what I think will happen. That's the first scenario that I think will happen. Next, there's a possibility that Putin will be ousted by either his own government, the military, or by the people. I think that there's a possibility that a popular revolt will happen, that Russians will finally not be afraid anymore to stand up and be able to kick out Putin, this dictator that's been around for several decades. And I think if not the people, it'll be the military generals, and then they'll have to install possibly the opposition. Here's the problem of Putin. Is there a possibility that he can withdraw his troops and withdraw from the invasion? I don't see that off-ramp happening. I think Putin has been backed into the corner because I don't think the economic sanctions are going to be lifted anytime soon. I think that they're here to stay because of all the damage that Putin has already done. Even if he withdraws his troops now, he is already considered a pariah and has been blacklisted on the entire world. So for that alone, I can't see why, in his mind, he has any winning option of backing out of this invasion. Even if he backs out and says sorry, the economic sanctions will still be in place because of the damage and the death that he's caused to another sovereign nation. So, unless he comes up with a convincing off-ramp, a way to be able to withdraw, I can't see it happening. But if he does come up with something, which I can't think of any right now, then that'll be good for everyone, and that would be the best case scenario. For him to be able to withdraw with his tail between his legs, defeated. Another possible end will be Putin succeeds in his invasion. He succeeds because he will use chemical weapons and nuclear weapons and pretty much flatten the entire country. That's a big country. And kill all 40 plus million Ukrainians. And the US and NATO will still not do anything. That's when Putin will win. Because NATO and the United States is too afraid to fight for democracy and for Ukraine and for the rest of the world. And what will happen then is Putin will lay low for a few years, build up his military again, improve his military capabilities, and when it's time, and when he's already built up his military and has laid low so that all eyes are not on him for a bit, and they can all relax thinking that Russia won't invade again, then he'll strike again at another non-NATO country until he achieves his goal of being able to take over majority of Eastern Europe. The last possible outcome of this crisis is that Ukraine and Russia will negotiate, and they'll come to terms where they'll agree to certain limitations to be able for Putin to withdraw, and Putin will look at it as a victory if he's able to get the separatist regions. But I don't think he'll be satisfied with that. But maybe just to be able to get out of the invasion and look like he succeeded, maybe he will. I know that the Ukrainian president is willing to negotiate only on certain terms, but they will also not give up the democratic freedom of Ukraine and the sovereignty of Ukraine. So those are sticking points. I am hopeful that a good outcome will come out of this crisis. But no matter what the outcome will be, I think it will lead to one universal truth. This invasion will end, and Putin will not be in power for long. One way or the other, Putin will not be in power. And I do believe that will be the ending no matter how it gets there. It's just a question of how bloody will it be or how peaceful will it be to get to that kind of a conclusion. Because all roads will lead to the same conclusion. Putin will not succeed and will eventually be taken out of power, one way or the other. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear your opinions and what you think, and if I missed anything or maybe you think there's going to be a different outcome, feel free to comment in the comment section below. This is Chris Tan, and that's what's on my mind today. And this is my Daily Thought Bubble.